Right, let's get started. We are live. So, where were we last night? We talked a little bit about, adding additional levels of validations in terms of being able to check if the list of table informations is containing elements that are invalid. And we basically started by saying, hey, just randomly throw a couple of random null table informations in there, and let's see if the system can react towards this properly, right? I think that's where we were. Uh,
Mhm.
Let me try and basically write a failing test that support that theory. And let's see if we can drive this to a good point here. So this is standard AI data entity intelligence. There we go. And then on this part here, I'm basically saying, yeah, this is an invalid table information. This is where we basically said if the table information is null or empty. And if I sync this up, I think we have a passing. I think Ailu wrote what makes this test pass. Let me run everything just to see where we are. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let me kind of write that test, and see how we can kind of explore this option. We did the invalid natural query, it's great, and then we did the table information, and I think both of them are like a circuit breaker. It's actually a question of whether does it make more sense to consider all inputs as one validation issue that's going on, or break the circuit with every one of them if they are not properly passed in. I'm leaning a little bit more towards like the kind of um, anonymous model kind of thing where you basically go and say, well, examine all your inputs first and then report back. So just Omar, just to kind of explain what I'm going with here, if you have foo that has X, Y, and Z, like this as parameters. If one or many of them is bad, is invalid, do you break the circuit as soon as you get X that's invalid? Do you break the circuit and then have, the person go back and fix Y, and then again, do you need to fix Z? Or do we just go and say, no, actually, let me examine all my inputs. So instead of that, we basically say X, Y, and Z are invalid. So fix the errors and try again, right? From an input standpoint, because there's no model that you're, kind of, there's no particular model that you're examining every attribute or property on. So the other thing that I can think of here is basically just going and saying, do we consider this a non-existent model, like a smoke model or or something that is there and not there? Just a topic for us to think about and for the community to explore. Okay, man. So let me go here and type this. I'm just gonna go and say, here's our a
Hassan, just quick question. You raised something a few weeks ago about this, like assuming that we find issues in the list and report it back. The whole point of exception is that the user who's calling it can fix it, right?
yeah, yeah,
But in this case, like it's not his fault. It's not the user's fault that they got some bad data in there.
it is. Their data is bad. Their database is broken. They need to go fix it.
Yeah, but like the the data service got some bad tables, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay. uh, we call the data service, not the user. Like we call it
Hmm.
on their behalf.
Hmm.
So, and so, what kind of like there is something that's on our side that's broken, not on the user side. Might be
It's
right.
it's not always gonna be our side. It's, well, this data is coming from the database that the user pointed us to, right?
Mhm.
It's an external dependency, right? So if we are the owners of the data, yeah, it's totally our side through and through, right? But if they give us a bad connection string, or they give us a connection string to a corrupt database, there's nothing we can do about it other than just telling them, hey, there's a problem in your data structure. and here's what we know about it. Here's the issues that we know about it. Obviously, these exceptions that we're throwing now, it's going to propagate all the way through the exposure layer, and the exposure layer is going to have to kind of reformat that message in a way.
Okay, yeah. So it's still on the dependency side. Okay, yeah.
Mm. So from this service perspective, this service is saying validation. I don't know, right? But the orchestration that's going to sit on top of that is going to have to do something smart about it. It's a good question. It's actually really what we're looking for here. You know, this is actually one of the very first occasions where we're technically doing duplex validations because the data is not really coming the classic way, coming from the exposure layer. It's coming from the broker. It's a very interesting scenario here. Hey, Gregory. So anyway, just going back to this part. So, okay, private async should throw validation exception, right, on retrieve if table information has invalid items async. So this is a special case because I'm basically going here and saying, hey, there's this case where some of the items in this table are invalid. So now in this case here, this is a very interesting case because I basically what I want is that I want a random index in a particular list. So I'm going to go find a random index and I want to make sure that this particular index has invalid value in it, right? Like writing this test itself needs a little bit of thinking because you're not really, technically, you're not really, you have to orchestrate a disaster to happen, in order for that disaster to be the way you're testing how solid or resilient your service is. Right? So, okay, so let's just, I have a list in here and this is table information, right? And this is random table information. So I'm just basically going and saying, here's completely random table information, no problem there. I don't remember if we had a thing in table information where it says insert at. What's the data type? Wow, see that whole algorithm classes that they've been telling us over the years. We need a data type that basically allows us to insert an item at a particular location. Or even better, we can update an item because this is a read write. So I can, yeah, that's even better. I could just go here and say, at item 0, nullify that guy. I don't know that index yet. I need to randomize that index to be able to get that random index and then nullify that one particular element. And then out of this nullification, I need to basically be able to go and say my validation exception, my invalid table information exception is going to have this data type that says this particular element at this position is broken, is in bad shape. So we're basically treating the positions in that list the way we treat the attributes or properties on that model. Okay.
Can we make it a theory and pass like a null and an empty name? Because we discussed this before, right? Like it's either null, it's invalid, or it has an empty name for the table. It's also invalid.
No, no, no,
So,
no. Wait, 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 wait. We're just saying this is a list that has some nulls. Like the list itself has some nulls. We
oh,
didn't dig
okay,
into the
okay.
model itself yet.
Oh, okay, okay,
So,
okay.
so this is still structural validation. We didn't even dig into the little pieces. That's probably going to be tomorrow or something.
Okay, okay.
Right? So let's see here. So this is int random invalid in item index, right? And what I want to do here is basically go and say new int range, right? And the minimum here is 0 because that's where it starts, and the maximum is this random information dot count. And then I want to get the value. I'll put that in a method in a second. So this is going to give me that index. And then what I'm going to do is basically go and say list table information here. Invalid table information,
I
right?
think it should
Which,
be count minus one, right? Count minus one here in this case.
no, it's exclusive. The max is exclusive. It doesn't add it
Oh,
in. Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, we
okay.
got burned by that the hard way long time ago, but probably Kailu could tell a story about that, but anyway, so invalid table information, right? And we're basically going and saying in this invalid table information, add the index of the random invalid index, go ahead and nullify. So now we know for a fact, we have the number, we know which item without actually selecting that particular item. I'll tell you a huge vulnerability in this test in a second, but we're just walking it thoroughly, like slowly, we're doing it together so we can just understand what we're testing, right? So, okay, so that means I should have invalid table information, AI processing exception or something like that, right? So that should be invalid table information, AI processing exception. And we should probably put the message in there so we can just live up to the same new standards that we're calling people to make. So that would be that right here. Now here's where it gets interesting. What I want to do here is to basically go and say invalid table information processing and then add data, right? Or maybe add key or something like that. So this would be, let's see here, add upsert data list. There you go. What do I want to do here? We want to I think add data is the way we want to do this. Yeah, add data, right? So we have an overload for this. So I have key and parameter. The key here would be the element at that particular index. And it's up to us to kind of, element at and then random invalid index, right? And then the value here should be basically uh, a, uh, object is null, object is required. See what I'm saying? So it'll basically say in this list, as we're validating this list, the element that's at this particular position in that particular list is broken, right? So I'm gonna throw a huge wrench at it in a second, but expected expected AI processing validation exception, new AI processing validation, AI processing validation exception, and that guy will have a massage, and it will also have an inner exception. That's the invalid table information AI processing exception. Okay, cool. And the message for this guy would be AI validation error occurred, fix the errors, and try again. Right? The rest of this is pretty much the same as everybody else. So I'm gonna go here and take this whole thing and just slap it right here. Got an extra win in here. There you go. And I guess I need, let's see here, string sum natural query equals get random. Do I have get random string? How did I randomize this in the past? Let's see here. Generate random string. Cool. Is that what we're calling it? Generate random string. So here's some natural query. This is invalid table information. Invalid informations, which is this guy. Okay, so that guy should fail then, because that guy is passing all the other conditions, except that it's not going to throw the exception, even though we know for a fact that there's a random element in there that has bad information in it. Actually, it's even worse. It basically said null reference exception. Then that may be a bad test still. We didn't get the right. So let's see, why is that? This guy's saying So I expected an AI processing validation exception, but got object reference is not set to an instance of an object. And I'm assuming that's because we're no, this is a good error because inside this table here, we are sorry, in this method here, we're actually iterating and processing. We're basically going and saying for each and every one of those, actually try to access that object. That's the table, right? This should be called table informations, and they should be called table information, like that. Let's break these apart. Leave it better than you find it, kind of do delge. Okay, so there's that. So I'm guessing that yeah, we try to access these objects in there. So if you go inside that guy, here's table information, and we're doing a select and we're not validating, therefore it blows up. Perfect. So this is a perfect test, kind of. And I'll throw another wrench at it, but let's just give this, Omar, do you want to take that one? I think I did the last one. Was it UK where you made the one pass last time? Yesterday?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Omar, it's your turn. Have fun.
Okay. Just a question here, like,
Uh,
why we are assuming there is only one error?
that's
Yeah.
the wrench that I was gonna throw at it. So we're
Okay.
starting with one, but we're gonna even make it worse, you know? We're gonna make it even more complicated. But let's just go ahead and try with one first and see what we're gonna do. Go for it.
Okay.
I'm intentionally doing some of these things. Like if we're in a private session, I wouldn't probably go in that particular order. I would just go write the whole problem and just let the person kind of deal with it. But because the purpose of this to educate and to bring people at the same page, it takes a different kind of style. Okay. Visual Studio can't handle it. It's bugged out on you. Can you open up the Solution Explorer real quick? Yeah, you're in. No,
And
you're
what do I
you're in good
see?
mood. Just do a rebuild or something. That's weird.
Yeah,
Does
yeah. I
it?
just
Uh,
sometimes.
says ready. I don't know. Just close it and
That's
turn it
okay.
back on and
Something
off
is.
again. Yeah, just to scale the instance. Yep, classic Microsoft. Turn it off and on again. That's how you do it. All right. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting as we complicate this a little bit. Let's just see what we can do with it. I can write tests all day. I actually like writing tests more than writing the actual implementation. Everybody can write an implementation, but just thinking about how you're going to test a problem, that's where the fun is.
Okay, I think there's something wrong on my end. I need to.
All right. So while you're doing this, Kylo, do you want to take
Yeah.
over? Because Omar's machine is being wonky. All right. Yeah, well, you could think just a little bit about the randomization of elements and how many, and you want to make sure that out of these many, you want to also make sure that you don't, I mean, if you replicate, who cares? As long as these numbers are unique, then you should be okay. Yeah, it's interesting. KK, what you got? Are you on
Hmm?
C or PC account?
I think I'm sharing.
Nope, it's not sharing.
I probably got news or something.
Yeah, I see it now. All right. Okay, is this thing failing on your side? It should. I think, yeah, it has invalid items.
Should.
Perfect. Yeah. You know, Omar, there were some projects where Kylo and I had like 7,000 tests that we've written all of them,
Wow.
and it's still executed in 1 minute. Was it 1 minute, Kailu? It was 1 minute for the unit test, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we still think it's too
Huh.
slow.
We still thought it was too small. It's true. It was 700,000 plus lines of code. 700,000 plus lines of code. All right. What do you think, Kay?
Okay, so you create a list of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that random list of stuff
Mm-hmm.
in some random index is null. Well,
So in this test, I'm making one element inside that list null. And if the list contains at least one element that is null, we point it out. We say that particular element at position 1, 2, or 3, or whatever, that element is invalid.
you can't. This problem with this though, you can't guarantee. Yeah, you could, you could. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
you
missed
do.
this part.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Maybe
so
in the assertion, we should also say there is only one error in the data list, right? For now, I mean, for now.
No, that's what the assertion does. That's what should be equivalent to
Oh yeah,
does.
yeah. That
Yeah,
compares even the data. Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
It compares inners and outers. There's a whole library that we built that takes care of all that stuff.
Yeah.
um, is this the only test we're gonna put for validating
Oh
these
no,
table information?
yeah, no, it's gonna get more complex than that.
You're
But
gonna
we're
build on top of this, right?
oh
Okay,
yeah, big time.
okay, okay. I see.
I know why you're asking this question, by the way, but yeah, let's let's entertain this and see where how far we can take it.
Okay. Um, validate table information. Let me borrow some stuff.
hmm This is gonna be wild because you're basically you're gonna have to, oh
Do
my God,
something
you're gonna
interesting.
have to literally, I mean, you don't have to solve that problem now for that particular test. Just be aware. But once we start saying, oh, if it's one or many elements that are null in that particular table information list, that's where it gets interesting. Mm-hmm.
without any more. Um,
What do you think?
okay. Dumb way. See. Um.
Hmm. Start with
So
start with a list of tuples. Let me walk you through this one. Start with a list of tuples, just a list of tuples.
hold on.
Hmm.
Let me do it my way first, and you tell
Okay,
me.
yep, yep, absolutely. No problem. Go for it.
So list of information, right? So
The,
this
the
is
crazy thing about some of these streams is that you're literally in like an interview. You're on spot. You know some of the answers, but some others you have to be a little bit creative. Omar
so I
says,
want to
I
say
think the list of tuples is good for the complex case. For this test, only one rule is enough. Yeah, but which rule? At which element? We don't know. That's the thing. It's pulling you into that direction even though you don't want to.
do something. Um,
Hmm. You mean not null or empty, right? So,
yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah, keep going. You're fine. Keep going. Okay, perfect. Hmm.
Is in
Right. This is where it gets spicy.
I thought information is no.
Yeah, you still needed the null or empty, and you needed to break there. You definitely still need that.
Yeah, where did it go? I thought uh, well, this is just dot any
Mm-hmm. It's false.
is false. Then
Still need the open close parentheses for this one as well. Yeah,
no, this is the no invalid.
yeah. Invalid table information, AI processing exception.
That's that. That's the
Cool.
previous one, and we'll put that there.
Right.
And it's invalid. The new.
Omar, do you know why he moved it up like that? He moved the whole method up like that. We order them based on the order of consumption. So there's that header method, the validate table information list, and then he's ordering them based on the reference.
Yeah, good to know.
For a while there was a direction, and that was when I was a little bit younger. There was a lot of engineers calling for the idea of that you shouldn't call a method before you declare it. So you would see all the private methods at the top
but
and then all the public
index
methods at the bottom, which made it very hard to kind of
index.
maintain the system. What were you saying, Kay?
No, no, you need an index, so it's not gonna
Yeah, you can't do it this way. That's why I told you.
work.
Do you need
Okay.
do you need my advice? I can give you advice.
I mean, no,
Okay.
typical way. It's index.
Yeah, go for it. I'm interested to see. Just so you're aware, this where you are, you're not actually inside of a method scope. You're inside of a dynamic object scope. It won't accept the int index because it's expecting properties, right? Uh,
Mm, I do this.
just say jabroni. Just call it out. Be like, oh, I'm done. I can't do it. I have some ideas though. I think you might actually improve on them. Hmm.
Mm, table parameters. We're looking for that. Key and value keys.
Right.
Uh, okay, so normally we do this.
Hmm.
Uh, same as okay. Condition is table information is null, and zero.
Yeah, but you're passing the index. Why? Why does it matter? To the in is invalid. Mhm. And then if you
Yeah,
call
we need
validate,
that.
yeah, just for your awareness, if you continue to call validate for every time,
Breaks, right?
that's a circuit breaker.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
here's a hint. What does the validate method takes as input parameters? An
An
array,
array.
array of tuples, right? So
Mm-hmm,
why don't you just create that array of tuples first, right? And then send that over to that validate method. That's the original. Uh, just create a list of tuples. Just indulge me on this one, okay? Just type in list and then create a list of tuples. No, no, no. Just open close parentheses. Anonymous tuple, not an explicit tuple. So list, and then no, no, no. You were going in the right direction. So list, but then instead of a tuple, just open close parentheses after the angle bracket.
mm,
So open up your
oh,
bracket just the normal way,
rapid.
and
Okay.
then No, angle brackets, like a generic type.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
And then inside of that, open close parentheses. Right. And then in the first one, type dynamic, and the second one, type string. Perfect. Right. And then that's just call this validations.
Okay.
Since this is a variable, let's make the v lowercase. Now check this out. Do equal and then type this table information select. So we're going to map the table informations into. In this one here, open close parentheses again. No, not yet. Open close parentheses again and just type in table, comma, index. Okay. Fat arrow this guy and then open um, a scope, squigglies. Yep. Yep. Open up the path for yourself a little bit. Take a new line. Okay, so what do we want to do here? You want to basically type in return and then open close parentheses and then type in rule colon uppercase R, and then type in is invalid, is invalid, and then pass in the table in it. We should call it table information, by the way, and then comma. Yeah, yep, yep, and then comma after the closing. No, not here. After the closing parenthesis of invalid. Yep, and then type in param colon
Mm,
and
mm,
dollar sign double quotes. And then in here, really, you could just do element at, and then you put in the index. So now that you have that list, uh, you need a dot to list. Actually, make it an enumerable. No. You don't need it to do anything in here other than just a comma, just a sorry, a semicolon. Okay, now check this out. Remove that instead of list, just make it an array. So take away the word list and just make it an array. No. Just put an array. Like take away the open. Yeah, just take that out. The angle brackets. Uh, I think you have to do it after the string. After the string, not in here. Yeah, in here. Yep. Okay, and then just type in here dot to array. Yeah, that should do the trick. Now take that validations and pass it to the validate methods underneath it, and that would be it. That should do the trick. Yep. What do you think, Omar? Is that a good solution? Take a new line after line 36. Go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, no, that's what kind of almost I was thinking of. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's run
Do
it.
we do
Okay,
do we do select or select many here? Many will cover the other cases, right? Select many, if we say.
no, many will flatten a list of lists, right? That's not, we're not in that yet. We're just writing enough code to make the test pass. Many will flatten. If you have a list of lists, it will turn into one list, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Did it pass?
yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Maybe I don't know this select code enough. I'm still trying to figure out
Yeah.
how it knows its index.
Yeah, so because it's examining every single one of these elements, it's determining based on the one that fails to propagate the parameter for it.
Mm,
So you see how you're basically, you know how when you're, let me just explain this. When you're normally validating an existing object, you're saying name, age, created date, updated date, even though they may or may not have issues in them. We're doing the same thing with that list, basically.
mm,
That's really all that it is. We're basically saying every single element in that list requires validation. I think you may be able to fat arrow this one since it's just a one-liner. Fat arrow it, and I don't think we need the squigglies anymore. Um, just trying to make sure that this is a little bit readable to some extent. Yeah, take away the squigglies and all that. Yeah, I think that might work. Hmm. There you go. Yep. So that's basically our guy. That's the basically, yeah, we're basically just collected the validations for it first, and we passed in the index. And the magical piece here, Kailu, just so you know, is that index piece that you're passing in that lambda expression. That's the
Mm-hmm.
magical piece. Okay, sir. So this is good. I guess, Omar, if you can think of a way to change the test to actually test for multiple, that'd be nice, right? Um, take this as like a homework, right, for tomorrow. If you can change the test in a way that would make it actually test multiple issues, like multiple elements that are null, and report
Mhm.
on each and every one of these, that would be the next level to that test.
Sure.
What do you
Yeah.
think? Do you have some ideas for it? Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I know that Gregory already started some standard upgrades. You know, he's switching, flipping all the public methods to privates for the tests, which is a very good thing. There's some efforts here and there to kind of catch up to the new standard 210, and we already have another upgrade for it. I also, if you haven't seen the session, I was discussing the standard 3.0, what it's going to look like from a system design architecture. Take a look at that session. It's a little bit longer session with Paul Worthy, but I promise you it's worth. It's really provoking kind of session. Yeah, but other than that, thank you all for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's keep at it. We're getting there. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.